beside your homework, write, this is what's difficult. I agree with him. The concept of domain can be tricky. These problems may or may not have been easy. That's irrelevant to the fact that the concept of domain is difficult. Alright? Yes, sir? Not knocking over a cactus is very tough, I know. Oh, something else.
For number 3.
Our class plant.
What's its name?
Jimmy.
Jimmy, duh.
Well,
Jimmy Wild Fury.
that one.
Anyway, Isaac, I'm sorry, what's up?
Number 3 is understanding what that means. Because like yesterday I multiplied them.
Notation.
Put them together.
Notation is definitely tricky. In fact, I know on your quiz on Friday, a lot of you guys had trouble deciphering what the notation meant. So like you have to know the difference between all of these. I'll get to you right now, Gabe, don't worry. All of those are different. And you have to know the difference between all of them. Yes, ma'am.
What's the difference between the second and the third one?
You tell me what's the difference between the second and the third one.
That was smooth.
That was what?
Smooth.
Yeah. It wasn't a dot. I know it's just kind of small up there. All right. What's the difference between the last two? Tell me, Jasmine. I know you know. They're switched, but what does it mean? Like, what's the difference?
That you divide f by g and the other one's d by f.
Well, it's not division, though. It's not division.
Plus g for the function of x.
Yes. So for this one, you take g and you plug it into f. For this one, you take f and plug it into g. And the order absolutely matters. Okay, Gabe, what else is tricky about all of this?
Sometimes factoring.
Oh, yeah. Factoring, yo. Right, Anna? Factoring can be kind of tricky. All right. Anything else? Diego? What's tricky about this stuff? Oh, there's one more thing that's tricky, I think. Yeah, inverse is tricky. Inverse can be very tricky. What's tricky about inverse functions? What's that?
You have to do the opposite.
Yeah, so that's like the solving is tricky. Writing it correctly. Okay. Alright, well, let's do this. You ready? You ready to go over your homework? Yeah? Okay. First thing. My goodness. It says find the inverse of f. That's what that says in math. Like this is how you write it in math. In English, this means find the inverse of the function f. Boy, that's not a lot of symbols to mean that big old statement, right? Very concise. But Leslie, concise is beautiful. Concise is beautiful. Not short is really, 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 really good. Okay. So what we do, you remember, you take x and y and you switch them. So you're going to have x equals y minus 1 squared. Is that true? And what's your first step going to be after that? Yes, sir, Manny? Take the square root of both sides, add 1, rename it, done. Yeah? Questions? Does the plus 1 belong inside the square root or outside the square root? For shizzle. Why? Tell me, Manny. That's right, order of operations. You tired, Sam? Really? Me too. Okay, Sam. Did you get that one right? How many of you guys got number 1 right, the first part? Woo woo. The roof is not my son, but I will raise it. Okay, g of x is even easier. So this was number 1. Number 2, g of x. Let's see here. So we exchange the x and the y. 2y plus 3. That's actually not a math step, right? Like this is not equal to this. They're different. And we set it up like that so we can solve it. So x minus 3 divided by 2 is the inverse of g. How many guys got that right? Dang. Okay. Find f of g of x. So f of g, let's see, that means we take g and plug it in. So minus 1 squared. G is 2x plus 3. Is that good? So we already reviewed this yesterday. So 2x plus 2 squared, you could leave it like that, or you could go ahead and multiply it out. Oh, sorry. So we did those in class yesterday. Hope those are easy. Last 2. All right. Now's where it gets tricky. Hey, which is the numerator, f or g? Tell me. F. So that's going to be x minus 1 a square divided by 2x más 3. That's, right? So the domain, hold on, the domain means what x cannot be, right? Actually, the domain is what it can be. We have to figure out what it can't be, and that's how we say it, right? Okay, so all numbers except negative 1.5. 3 over 2, 1.5, all the same. Good? Yeah? Good. No, you just set this is equal to 0 and you solve it. That's funny. It's funny because like now it seems so easy, right? Yeah. So I'm glad she asked. She asked like, well, she got the right answer because she showed me this morning. But she's like, well, how do you find that? You just like guess it? And no, what you do, I mean, you can guess, but what you do is you just take the denominator and you set it equal to 0 and you solve for x. That would give you the number that would make this equal to 0. And of course, that can't equal 0 because it's the denominator. So that's how you figure it out. Does that make sense, Leslie? No. Repeat that. Okay, 1 second, Michelle. So here's the big idea. Ready, Leslie? This is the big idea about how you find the domain. The thing with the domain is you can't divide by 0. Correct? So there's a number for x that would make this equal to 0. And that's what x cannot be. So the way we figure out what it would be is we take this and we set it equal to 0. And then we figure out what would x be to make this equal 0. That's what you cannot have. Does that make sense, Melanie? You sure? You sure? Okay. What was your question, Michelle?
Just find it for the denominator, right?
Right. The numerator can be 0. You can divide into 0. That's no problem.
And if no, yeah, that's it.
You sure? Okay. Now let's see. This one's a little trickier. G divided by f means that f is going to be the denominator. So it's going to be 2x plus 3 divided by x minus 1 squared. So the way you do it, like when you're writing it out, you do x minus 1 squared equals 0. X can't be 1. Do you see? So the domain, all numbers except 1. Right, well you see, like, you can just look at it, and like 1 minus 1 is 0, 0 squared is 0. That's the number x can't be.
That's so sad. Why did I do that?
You just did a bunch of extra work, right? Yeah. How many guys did a bunch of extra work? Right.
Hey,
Oh my god.
The store. Yeah. They're delicious. And then this one's name is Esmeralda. Why? I don't know. Why is your name Katie?
Touche. Is she Imelda's sister?
Yeah.
Where's her hair?
Oh, she's bald. She has cancer. Why are you guys laughing? Because she's got cancer.
Damn. Oh.
Why are you guys laughing? Because she's got cancer. Why is it funny? I don't know. Oh, because it's not true. All right. All right. So, George, oh my gosh, it makes me upset, George, that you skipped number 5. It makes me upset because, like, here's why it makes me upset. You're going to get problems on a test where you're going to have never seen it written that way before, but you know the information you need to know to do it. I guarantee that's going to happen. And so you're going to look at this, and if you go, oh, I can't do that, I've never seen it equal to 0, I don't know what that means. There's what it tells you in English. Right there. So you set this up, and you set it equal to 0, and then you solve it. That's it. In fact, you already know what this equals, because you did it for number 3. Oh, did we skip number 3?
No, it's right there to the right.
Oh, yeah. You already know what it equals, so you just set that equal to 0. So 2x squared plus 2 equals 0, and you solve that. That's it. So you subtract 2, divide by 2, you get -1. Is that right? Take the square root, x equals the square root of -1, which also means no real solutions.
I think you did it wrong.
You did it wrong.
Yeah.
Why?
How'd you get 2x squared?
Plus 2.
2x plus 2. You have to subtract.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
What? Whoa. You know, it was really interesting, like this morning. So listen, I totally screwed that up. I didn't do it on purpose. It was really interesting. This morning on the quiz, Jasmine, it's no big deal. Don't you make mistakes? Isn't learning how to learn from your mistakes like what education's really about? Okay, so it was interesting because I did this morning exactly what I helped a student realize they did on their quiz on Friday. She missed the linear graph because the graph was at the function was at the top of the page and the graph was at the bottom. And by looking from here and writing the graph down here, for somehow in her mind, she got mixed up. And that's exactly what I did. I saw 2x plus 2 squared, and when I rewrote it, I didn't check to make sure I wrote it correctly. I just inverted numbers where they belonged in my head. It's easy to do. So, yeah, interesting. So, epic fail. Hashtag math fail. Let's do it right. So it's actually much easier. 2x plus 2 squared equals 0. Take the square root of both sides. 2x plus 2 equals 0. X equals -1. Yes.
Yes.
How many x-intercepts does this have? 1. What's the vertex?
Oh.
What's the vertex? Thank you, Jasmine. The vertex is actually -1, 0 because, listen, if it's only got 1 x-intercept, right, that means that that's where it has to turn around.
Oh, yeah.
It's going up. What would this be right here?
The y and the y.
Yeah, what would it be?
4.
4. It would be 4. Yep. Okay. Why, what? Put a 0 for x. 2 squared is 4. Yep. Okay, very good.